5 Sparring and unexpected friendship. 1 month later. My progress skyrocketed after 1 month of intense training. At least, that's what I'd like to say. Taijutsu. Skills. None. Progress. 9%. Chakra. Skills. None. Progress. 13%. 2% in taijutsu and 2% in chakra. Are you fucking kidding me? My progress seemed fast at first, with my taijutsu jumping 1% the first time I trained some new techniques. But it slowed down dramatically after that. That shitty system didn't even tell me everything. I guess it's still a good thing that I can get progress through learning techniques. Would have been nice to know sooner though. But my moping aside, it's finally time for sparring. Well, after this lunch period. Anyway, where I still have no friends to talk to. Damn, I really should start socializing. Thankfully, I'm broken out of my thoughts by a bell ringing, signifying the physical portion of the academy. As I make my way towards the field outside, I notice that everyone seems as excited as I am for sparring. Hey, I'm going to kick your ass if we're paired up, said random civilian number 1. Yeah, right, you still trip over your own feet during practice, said random civilian number 2. But Mizuki soon calmed everyone down. Did you guys forget that sparring is only during the last hour? You've still got to run laps first. Everyone groaned. About 2 hours later, we were finally done with the physical training. It was time. All right, everyone, Mizuki shouted. Before we start, I want everyone to show me that you know the seal of confrontation. So we did. Good. Now I'm going to call your names 2 at a time. When I do, you will come over here and stand on either side of the circle. When both of you are here, you will make the seal of confrontation and I will signal when you can start fighting. You will fight until one person gives up, if I call the match, or if one of you leaves the boundaries of the circle. Understand? Yes, Mizuki-sensei. We all yelled. Good. Now for the first pair, I want to see Ito Isamu and Tsurugi-kan. Ooh, I get to go first. How exciting. I walk up and stand on the far side of the circle from Mizuki. He still grosses me out with his fake happiness, and Ito stands on the other side. Mizuki nodded. Okay, now make the seal of confrontation, which we both did. On my signal, you will fight. 3, 2, 1, fight. And I was off. Now, some might criticize me for immediately attacking without observing my opponent, but I have zero experience in doing that, and the best way to learn trial by fire. Ito, while surprised that I was running at him so soon, took a defensive stance. Right as I was about to reach him, I pivoted on my right foot and threw a roundhouse kick at his ribs. Ito saw this as I telegraphed it pretty badly. This is my first fight, sue me, and decided to block it with his forearms. Bad choice. He winced as my kick connected and he skidded back a few feet. Damn, that was a lot more powerful than I expected. Ito thought, but it's not over yet. I started to move toward him again, this time slower, and threw a right hook at his head. He dodged it and counterattacked with his own punch, directed at my stomach. I tanked it with relative ease and hit him on the chin with my forearm. Gah! The force of my blow took him off his feet, and he crashed down right outside the circle. Enough. The winner is Tsurugi, Mizuki called out. I walked over to Ito after that and offered a hand. That was a good fight, I said. Nah, you whooped my ass. You're a lot stronger than I thought. He took my hand, and I helped him up. Good fight, you too, Mizuki said. Now, starting with Ito, what did you do wrong? He asked. Ito thought a little bit before replying. I shouldn't have blocked his kick when I could have easily dodged it. He said. Well, that's one thing. You also shouldn't have put all your weight behind that last punch, otherwise, you wouldn't have been left open for a counterattack. Tsurugi, you might be stronger than most fresh academy students I've seen, but you're Technique needs a lot of work. Even though you are fast, Ito was able to block and dodge your first moves because you telegraphed your intent too much. Okay, Mizuki-sensei, I said. He was right. By the way, in my past life, I don't think I ever got into an actual fight before and I never practiced martial arts. Alright, head back to the group. I'm going to call up the next students. So I started to head back when Ito came up by my side. Hey, you were pretty good, he said. Thanks. You're not bad yourself, I replied. As we made it back to the group, Mizuki started calling the next pair. Ito still had more to say, though. You wanna spar sometime? I figure you don't have a lot to do since I never see you talking to anyone. It would be good for both of us. Well, that was unexpected. He was right. Though, outside of training, I don't really do much. I contemplated for a second. You know, that's not a bad idea. I usually train in a clearing near a playground, if you want to join me. He looked at me weirdly. You do know that there's a training ground for academy students, right? Well, shit, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, of course, I know that. I lied. Sewer, well, I'll be there after class. Ends if you want to meet up, he said. Then he started focusing on the fights. Well, I guess I could learn something by watching too. I started focusing on the fights as well, which was pretty boring in my opinion. At least it was until the Uchiha girl and Neji were called up. Alright, I need Uchiha Ayame and Hyuga Neji to come up please, Mizuki announced. Oh, this could be exciting. A Hyuga versus an Uchiha. Well, at least I don't have to fight one of them now. This could be interesting. Neji versus some random Uchiha I've never heard of. They both took their sides, while Neji looked over at her condescendingly. They both make the seal of confrontation and begin to observe each other. Which only lasted 30 seconds or so, because Neji decided to take the initiative. He immediately opened with a flurry of palm strikes that were either dodged narrowly or redirected to the side. As the fight continued, the more aggressive Neji got with his attacks. I could see him starting to get annoyed with how much he was getting countered, so he activated his Byakugan and jabbed at the Uchiha's arms. This time, she couldn't redirect the strikes and ended up losing the function in her arms. But Neji wasn't done. He went in for more strikes at her chest and head, but Mizuki stepped in at the last second. Enough. He shouted, you've already disabled her arms, how much more damage are you going to do? Neji scoffed and turned away. Mizuki sighed at seeing his less than stellar attitude. Winner. Hyuga Neji, he declared. He then turned to the Uchiha, Ayame, your arms will be better in a couple of hours, okay? So don't do any training until you gain complete control again or you might actually get injured. She nodded without saying a word and headed back to the crowd. Well, that was sort of interesting, I guess. It ended way too fast. I didn't even learn anything, which was a major bummer. I was hoping that by watching the fights I would get some hints at what I was doing. Right or wrong, but I guess I need to train my observation skills as well. As that was the last spar, we were dismissed by Mizuki for the day. Instead of heading to the clearing I usually trained at, I went to the training ground closest to the academy. Turns out, it really is meant for academy students. It wasn't a large clearing, but enough to include a space for sparring, some wooden targets for shurikenjutsu, and some standing logs to toughen up your arms and legs. It was edged with lots of trees and a stream that was big enough to walk on ran on the left side, just past the tree line. As I arrived, I saw that Ito was already there, warming up by throwing punches and kicks at one of the logs. Hey, I greeted. Oh, you came, Ito exclaimed. I wasn't sure if you were going to show since we don't really talk normally. Well, I'm not one to miss out on an opportunity to learn more taijutsu, I said. Ha, that's a good attitude to have. Why don't you get warmed up? Then we can start. I nodded and approached one of the logs. And threw some lightweight punches at it. After about 15 minutes, we were both ready, so we moved over to the clearing. Alright, Ito said, this time I'm not going down so easy. I smirked, we'll see about that. This time, I didn't charge straight in. I wanted to test how good I was at defending instead of attacking. After a minute of waiting, Ito finally got the hint. Fine, I guess I'll come to you this time. He then jumped forward and threw a couple of jabs. I could tell they were fast. But I could also see where they were going to hit, and how much force was behind each punch. Huh, I guess that's one of the perks of the system that it forgot to mention. Or maybe I've just always been able to do this. So, using an appropriate amount of strength, I blocked all the jabs with minimum effort. He started mixing up his attacks, throwing in some kicks and elbows as well. But I'm much sturdier than a regular kid, so I was able to block every single attack. Ito started to get frustrated. Damn it. Why aren't you attacking? Fight back. He yelled. Well, who am I to deny him? This is starting to get boring anyway. He threw a roundhouse kick at my ribs, which I tanked easily and trapped his leg. There, I reared my fist back and threw a devastating punch to his stomach. Goo. He flew back as I released his leg. Once my punch hit and he spit some saliva as well. You had enough already, I taunted. Not even close. He shot back up and renewed his offensive. I smirked. After about 20 minutes, Ito flopped onto the ground and I was breathing heavily. Damn, you're such a monster. You just tank all my hits and hit back twice as hard. How can you fight like that the whole time? And still look better off than I do right now? He questioned. Hey, I'm just built different, I replied. But those were some good spars. I feel like I understand the taijutsu technique of the academy better now. Yeah, I guess I could say the same, he grunted out. Meet back here after class next week, he asked. I took a quick look at my status. Taijutsu skills, none. Progress, 12%. Goddamn, 3 whole percentage points. I immediately agreed after seeing this. Yeah, sure, only if you're ready to get your ass beat again. He scowled at me. No way. Next week it's gonna be you rolling across the ground. Whatever helps you sleep at night. I'll catch you later. If I'm late for dinner, my mom's going to kill me. At the mention of my mom, he looked a little saddened. Ah, shit, I forgot he was an orphan. Wasn't one of his goals to make a family. I feel like an asshole now. I was originally going to walk away, but I changed my mind at the last second and turned back to him. Hey, mom usually makes extras, and if you don't have anywhere to be, you could come over for dinner. He instantly perked up. Huh. Really? I mean, yeah, of course. Then I realized something kind of embarrassing. So, before we go, what was your name? Again, he deadpanned at me. Ito Isamu. But since you invited me to dinner, you can call me Isamu. Sure. And you can call me Kan. And that was the start of a beautiful friendship. A.N. Hello, people who are hopefully not bots and are actually real. This is my first story. So please leave lots of comments on what I could do better. This is also the first fight scene I've written, so please give me your opinions. For clarification, Kan is 1 year older than Naruto and will graduate with Lee, Neji, and Tenten. For power scale reference, his chakra and taijutsu are about elite genin level, if that even exists. That might seem a little off, but it won't be until he gets more combat experience. Then, it'll be kinda off, at least compared to his fellow genins. I plan on having him fight some stronger enemies later on. One last point to explain how the system works. Each percent in taijutsu boosts his physical strength, speed, durability, and skill. Kenjutsu boosts swordplay, dexterity, and speed. Fire release boosts chakra, fire resistance, durability, and obviously flame Manipulation. Chakra boosts chakra control and killing intent. He will eventually unlock Yamamoto's skills at certain percentages. I think that's all for now, so leave a review. 6 big events, and another friend. The dinner with Isamu went well. I could have gone without my mom pestering me about my first and only friend, even though she's not necessarily wrong. Anyway, today is an off day for the academy, so I am going to start something I should have started long ago. Chakra control. Yes, I know, how could I forget about chakra control? Well, I definitely focused a little too much on activating and progressing the system, and I kinda forgot. Yeah, it's a shit excuse, but it's the only one I got. Anyways, after breakfast, I inform my mom that I'm going to train. So, I head out to the clearing behind the playground. The only reason I'm not using the academy training grounds is that I don't want to have to lie about how I know about the leaf sticking exercise. What? I suck at lying. Okay. So once I reach the clearing, I grab some leaves from the ground and sit down. First, I've got to feel my chakra. Then, I need to move it towards the leaf and imagine it sticking there. Easy enough. Right. Surprisingly, it was at first. I stuck the leaf to my forehead for about 30 seconds before my chakra decided to rebel against me and blow the leaf away. Damn it. Okay, next attempt. And I continued like this for the next 4 hours, managing to exhaust my chakra and raise my leaf sticking record to 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Which was okay for the first day. But most importantly, I check my status. Chakra. Skills. None. Progress. 14%. All that. For 1%. Well, it could be worse, I guess. So I got up and moved over to the trees, where I started to practice my taijutsu. Because practice makes perfect, I think. Meh, it felt good to release all the frustration after sitting down for 4 hours. So I continued with my taijutsu practice for another 2 hours until it was about time for lunch. After a filling lunch, I headed to the academy training ground to engage in my workout routine since it has a lot more space for laps than my usual spot. My One Punch Man routine takes a lot of time, all the way till dinner, actually. But it was worth it as I could feel my physique getting stronger, even if the system's progress is slow. And I continued my routine of training by myself and meeting with Isamu to spar once a week. 11 months later. I can't believe I forgot one of the most important events in Naruto. The Uchiha massacre. It didn't really change much, besides my mom not letting me stay out as late as usual and the tense atmosphere of the village. I wasn't really affected. I did hear the whispers though, which led me to the conclusion that something was a little different than how I remember it. Did you hear? That boy killed his entire clan in cold blood. Yeah, and the only ones he spared were the kids under 12. What? Not just Sasuke. Shit. I was kind of hoping to rely on my vague knowledge of Naruto canon, but I guess that route is going out the window. Well, this hurts to think about, so I'm not moving on. Not much changed at the academy either. The only thing was that the teachers started to pity my Uchiha classmate, who also become much colder than before, which is pretty understandable. Speaking of other important things, I leveled up my chakra by a huge margin over the year. Chakra. Skills. None. Progress. 21%. My taijutsu was also close to a breakthrough. Taijutsu. Skills. None. Progress. 14%. I don't know how, but I just knew that once I hit 15%, something important was going to happen. Just a gut feeling. My chakra was my real source of joy though. I can now hold multiple leaves to myself. Indefinitely as long as I'm not distracted. I even started attaching leaves to myself in secret when sparring with Isamu. The next step though, is tree walking. Which sounds super awesome but kind of difficult as well. I've got nothing to lose by trying. Well, that's for later. Right now, I'm stuck in the academy, which is super boring, by the way. I've been sitting here, lost in thought, while my classmates were sparring. Two at a time, for 45 minutes. With this information, I know I'm probably going to be the last fight. Currently, information, I know I'm probably going to be the last fight. Currently, Isamu is fighting some civilian nobody and absolutely dominating, so I'm not really learning anything. Finally, after his sparring partner surrenders, I am called up along with a name that interests me. Tsurugi-kan and Uchiha Ayame, come up here, Mizuki said. Well, this is definitely going to be exciting. As we both face each other, with me still being as far from Mizuki as possible, we make the seal of confrontation. 3, 2, 1, fight. And then I moved towards her, nearing my top speed, which she was definitely not expecting, her eyes widening. I opened up my attack with a jab that was dodged easily, so I followed up with a forward kick aimed at her knees. She jumped over my kick and launched her own at the same time, which I dodged by tilting my head to the left. We continued exchanging blows for a while, with her firmly on the defensive. And I was starting to get bored. Is that it? Isn't she supposed to be the best of the best? And Uchiha, I'm not learning anything here. I guess it's time to stop holding back. At this thought, I immediately transitioned to my top speed, which leads to an event I wasn't expecting. Sharingan, of course she unlocked it. I can't imagine anyone who wouldn't be traumatized at having their clan slaughtered overnight. As soon as she activated it, she went on the offensive, as she could now dodge all my attacks with ease. She threw a sequence of kicks and punches at me, each with impeccable timing. Impressive, but it's not enough. The reason? Because I can just tank the hits that aren't aimed at my face and neck. And so I absorbed all the attacks launched at my chest and stomach to set up an uppercut to her chin. The look of shock on her face when I just shrugged off her attacks was priceless. She tried to move away since she saw my attack coming with her Sharingan, but her body was too slow. My attack landed and she was flipped out of the circle, nearly unconscious. Oops, was all I could think as the instructor rushed over to check on her. Ayame, are you okay? Mizuki asked, trying to help her up. I'm fine, she grumbled. Here, just give me a second to scold Tsurugi, and I'll escort you to the hospital, he said. Then he turned to me and scowled. What were you thinking? You could have seriously hurt her, he yelled. It was my turn to look away sheepishly. Sorry, Mizuki-sensei, I just got absorbed in the fight. That's not good enough. You better believe I'm going to tell your parents about this, he threatened. I immediately paled. Mom is going to beat my ass for hitting someone that hard. Seeing that I was thoroughly chastised, he turned back to Uchiha and started to escort her to the hospital to get checked out. While I was busy dreading my mom's possible punishments, I didn't notice her watching me as she walked away. The next day, you ready to lose? Isamu exclaimed. Big words for a guy who ends up eating dirt every time, I reply. Hey, he let out a small laugh and got ready to charge me, but we were interrupted by someone's presence. It was the Uchiha girl. What are you doing here? Isamu asked. Definitely not rudely at all. She didn't waste any time with her reply and got straight to the point. I want to spar with Tsurugi. Well, tough luck, we are already sparring, he replied. Che, she spat. Then she stepped back a bit and started watching without another word. What are you doing? Isamu asked. Waiting, she said. Why? He asked. For a spar. Oh. He then started ignoring her. But I couldn't let the opportunity to insult him slip away. Don't worry, I'll have plenty of energy left. After I'm done dealing with you, I smiled. Just get on with it. He said. Sure thing, pal, and before the last word left my mouth, I was already dashing toward him. 45 minutes later, Isamu flopped onto the floor. You're a freak of nature, he complained. I told you, I'm just built different. I replied. We bantered for a little while before someone cleared their throat. Oh, you're still here. She looked vaguely annoyed by this. I wonder why. You're finished. So fight with me, she said. Well, I guess I could spare some time for it. So she took Isamu's place as my combatant and we made the seal of confrontation. You ready? I asked. Yes, she replied, her now red eyes swirling with one tomo in each. Then, as if we had agreed upon it beforehand, we both charged each other. 20 minutes later, it was her turn to flop on the ground. Completely exhausted. Personally, I was breathing a little heavily, but I could have gone on for longer. Ha, I'm not the only one. Isamu cheered. Uchiha scowled at that. Welp, it's about time for dinner. You coming, Isamu? Yeah, just give me a minute to regain feeling in my legs. I walked over and helped him up. But as we started to walk away, I noticed a gaze on my back. When I glanced over, I saw Uchiha looking over at us with an indescribable emotion. I stopped. You hungry? I asked. No. She was interrupted by her stomach growling. She turned beet red. Ha, fine. What is one more gonna hurt? I thought. Come on, Uchiha. My mom can make a mean stew. I started to walk away, but if you don't want to, I understand. Predictably, she ended up following me. As we were walking back, she mumbled something. Huh, did you say something? I asked. Ayame, she said, call me Ayame. I felt a small smile form on my face. Then, you can call me Kan. Call Isamu whatever you want. It's not like his opinion matters. Anyway. Hey, I resent that. And as we reached my house, a new friendship had formed.